Good evening, everyone. Welcome to NTD Tonight. I'm David Zhang. Here are some of today's top stories. A new CNN poll finds former President Trump leading President Biden. In Los Angeles, rival protest groups clashed physically on UCLA's campus after breaching a barrier designed to separate them. A new $1 coin could come out of California. The governor turns to the public for design ideas, but some seem to have a stark view of the state. First up, a new poll by CNN has a former President Trump continuing to hold an advantage over President Biden. The CNN poll says a majority of Americans now view Trump's term as president as a success, with a broader majority saying Biden's policies have so far been a failure. Trump's support in a poll among registered voters stands at 49% in a head-to-head matchup against Biden, who has 43%. Looking back, 55% of all Americans now say they see Trump's presidency as a success, while 44% see it as a failure. Meanwhile, 61% say Biden's presidency so far has been a failure, while 39% say it's been a success. Republicans now are more unified around the idea that Trump's presidency was a success than Democrats are that Biden's has been one. Overall, 92% of Republicans call Trump's time in office a success, while 73% of Democrats say Biden's term has been a success so far. Among independents, 51% say Trump's presidency was successful, while 37% see Biden's as a success. President Biden's job approval rating for the 13th quarter of his presidency is the lowest of his term. It's also the worst among all presidents in modern history, according to a recent Gallup poll. Biden averaged 38.7% job approval from January 20th to April 19th. At the same point in the presidency, former President Trump had an approval rating of 46.8%, and former President Barack Obama was close behind at 45.9%. The previous lowest rating before President Biden was the President George H.W. Bush at 41.8%. Presidents with 13th quarter approval averages below 50% mostly lose their re-election bids, with Obama being the exception. In more election-related headlines, the Biden-Harris campaign believes Florida is in play for November. The Florida Democratic Party is contesting all of Florida's 28 congressional districts for the first time since 2018. The party launched a targeted candidate recruitment campaign earlier in April, using billboards and digital ads. One of the billboards says, "You are already a leader, run for office. Go to floridadems.org." Democrats face an uphill battle trying to compete in the Sunshine State. Republicans currently have an around 850,000 person advantage in voter registration. Also in Florida, Democratic Congressman Jared Moskowitz hinted at the possibility of running for governor in 2026. Moskowitz previously served as Director of Emergency Management under Governor Ron DeSantis. Moskowitz said his team will have to analyze the data and then make a decision. DeSantis won't be eligible to run again due to term limits. In Michigan, one of the 10 House Republicans who voted to impeach former President Trump has dropped his bid for a Senate seat. Former Representative Peter Meijer entered the Michigan Senate race a year ago. Meijer said that continuing his campaign would, quote, only increase the likelihood of a divisive primary. In Utah, Trump has endorsed Trent Staggs to replace Utah Senator Mitt Romney. Trump called Riverton Mayor Staggs 100% MAGA. Trump said he was endorsing Staggs for his policies on job creation, securing the border, and protecting the Second Amendment. Senator Romney announced last September that he isn't seeking re-election this year. Staggs previously criticized Romney for voting to impeach Trump. Now to the anti-Israel protests that are spreading to college campuses across the nation. Today, Columbia University is being sued for allegedly not providing a safe environment for Jewish students. The legal action filed by an anonymous Jewish student is seeking class action status. The lawsuit claims the university has become, quote, a place that is too dangerous for Columbia's Jewish students, unquote. Columbia University didn't comment on the lawsuit, but the school said negotiations with the protesters have stalled. In a statement today, Columbia asked the student protesters to voluntarily disperse. The school said it's exploring alternative options to, quote, end this crisis as soon as possible. The university also said it will hold a commencement and it will not divest from Israel, which is what protesters are demanding. Also today, a group of 21 House Democrats wrote to Columbia's Board of Trustees and demanded that they disband the encampment or step down. Hundreds of anti-Israel protesters have been arrested at college campuses across the U.S., from UCLA to Virginia Tech. Protests at U.S. universities continued over the weekend, with the tensions rising between pro-Israeli and pro-Palestinian demonstrators at the University of California, Los Angeles. NTD's Christina Corona has more from Westwood.
We're here at UCLA in the middle of a school walkout, just one day after pro-Palestinian protesters and Israel supporters clashed, resulting in physical altercation. Behind me, community members, students, and faculty supporting Palestine decided to walk out. Law enforcement officials had barricaded areas near the encampment early Sunday at Dixon Plaza in anticipation of an organized counter-protest by a pro-Israeli group. Flyers promoting the counter-protest assured that the demonstration would be peaceful. However, the dueling demonstrations turned violent when protesters breached a physical barrier that the school had set up to separate the groups.
We were bum rushed by a huge crowd of protesters that came and encircled this whole area. About, I think, 9 or 10 people that got pepper sprayed on our side. Women, like all women that just got pepper sprayed and needed to get medical attention.
The school's newspaper, the Daily Bruin, reported that one of its journalists was struck in the face with a flag. It was unclear which group had breached the barrier. On Monday, Israel supporters put up a graphic video projecting towards the protesters, aimed at educating students who may be unaware of the current situation with Hamas.
We wanted to show our side of the story. We're showing a few documentaries about October 7th. One is about the survivors who have been raped. One is about survivors that were attacked, that had their friends attacked. And we're also showing clips and footage of just people getting shot in their homes.
However, protesters put up wooden fencing obstructing public viewing of the footage. They even have stationed guards to block access to the area. We attempted to speak with the protesters, however, they declined to engage with the media. And what the university has told the students?
So there have been like periodic updates every morning. They haven't been all too detailed. They just kind of briefly say that they're going to allow it to continue happening. And they've acknowledged the fact that there's been physical violence going on and that they're still not going to do anything to stop that.
She shares how difficult it has been to attend her classes.
I remember when I was on campus on Friday, I was able to get through and walk down the steps to like go to my parking structure and get to my car. But even today, like the steps are blocked off. You can't go up giant steps to get to your classes. You have to go around. There's so many helicopters, like sitting in class, it's so hard to pay attention.
As of now, the encampment behind me at Royce Quad has grown to approximately 50 tents surrounded by wood and metal fencing. They've implemented strict restrictions denying access to any media personnel. Christina Corona, NTD News, Los Angeles.
A man allegedly assaulted a California police chief while trying to steal his car over the weekend. This happened after the suspect allegedly knocked an elderly man unconscious at a hardware store. NTD's Jason Blair reports.
In Piedmont, California, police responded to a call about an unconscious elderly man at a hardware store. According to the police, witnesses said a man had attacked the victim unprovoked, then fled into the garden department next door. The police said the suspect would not cooperate and seemed under the influence of drugs. The suspect physically confronted the officers, and they responded with pepper spray and tasers. The suspect pulled out the taser prongs and fled to a nearby property, threatening the resident. A police chief then confronted the suspect, and the suspect jumped into the chief's police car and tried to flee. The chief jumped into the car to stop him and was allegedly attacked. After additional police arrived, the suspect was taken into custody. He faces multiple charges, including causing injury to an elderly adult. battery of a police officer, and carjacking. The elderly assault victim was transported to a hospital, and authorities said his condition is unknown. Jason Blair, NTD News.
We might see a new $1 coin coming out of California. The governor is asking the public to submit ideas to honor innovation. But some of the suggestions seem to have a stark view on innovation. NTD's David Lamb reports.
Gavin Newsom said on social media that California is getting its own $1 coin to honor innovation, slated to be issued in 2026, and he's calling for submissions within the state. It's part of the U.S. Mint American Innovation Program. People can email coin design ideas to coinsubmissions@gov.ca.gov. But one of the submission designs showed homeless encampments in the state, submitted by Jim Stanley, press secretary for Assembly Republicans. The California Globe news page shared a letter from Stanley to Newsom saying, "To commemorate your momentous innovation, it would only be appropriate to select one of the designs below that recognize the condition of California's streets, parks, and sidewalks that have resulted from your leadership." People responded with ideas including issues that the state faces, such as crime, drug abuse, and immigration. The governor's office told NTD it received numerous submissions for consideration and encouraged Californians to continue submitting ideas. The office also said the Tortured Coin Designers Department from Newsom's post is a reference to Taylor Swift's new album title, The Tortured Poets Department. And while members of its digital team are fans of Swift, she is ineligible to be on the California coin. David Lamb, NTD News, California.
We'll take a short break now, everybody, but here's a look at what we have for you when we come back. Millions of dollars lost in postage fraud. A Southern California woman pleads guilty, but her co-defendant remains a fugitive in China. Giant pandas are coming to California soon. Find out more about this panda loan program. A wide receiver for the Houston Texans was injured in a Florida shooting. The latest on the situation. Those stories and more coming up on NTD Tonight. Welcome back to NTD Tonight. I'm your host, David Zhang. A Southern California woman pleaded guilty to counterfeit postage fraud that caused more than $150 million in losses to the U.S. Postal Service. Her co-defendant was also charged but remains a fugitive in China.
A San Gabriel Valley woman pleaded guilty on Friday to defrauding the U.S. Postal Service out of more than $150 million. She allegedly used counterfeit postage to ship tens of millions of parcels. 51-year-old Li Juan, or Angela Chen of Walnut, pleaded guilty to one count of conspiracy to defraud the United States and one count of use of counterfeit postage. She was arrested in May 2023 and has been in federal custody since. Chen and her co-defendant, Chuan Hua or Hugh Hu, owned and operated a package shipping business in the City of Industry. Their company provided shipping services, including shipping packages for China-based logistics businesses from at least November 2019 to May 2023. To avoid the cost of postage, Hu began creating fake postage to ship packages by printing duplicate and counterfeit net stamps, stamps that may be purchased online from third-party vendors and printed onto adhesive paper. In November 2019, Hu fled the U.S. and moved to China after learning that law enforcement was investigating his use of counterfeit postage. In China, he developed ways to make counterfeit postage and avoid detection. Chen has a sentencing hearing on August 2nd and could face a maximum of 5 years in federal prison for each count. Hu, who is believed to be a fugitive residing in China, is charged with one count of conspiracy to defraud the U.S., 3 counts of passing and possessing counterfeit obligations of the U.S., and 1 count of forging and counterfeiting postage stamps.
Southern California is expecting a pair of pandas. They will be arriving from China as a part of a conservation partnership.
A pair of giant pandas will soon make the journey from China to the U.S., where they will be cared for at the San Diego Zoo. It's part of an ongoing conservation partnership between the two nations. The San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance said its caretakers recently visited China to meet the giant pandas Yunchuan and Xinbao ahead of their planned trip to Southern California. An exact date for the handoff hasn't been set. Yunchuan, a mild-mannered male who's nearly 5 years old, has deep connections to California. His mother, Zhen, was born at the San Diego Zoo in 2007. Xin Bao is a nearly 4-year-old female described as a gentle and witty introvert with a sweet round face and big ears. The San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance has a nearly 30-year partnership with leading conservation institutions in China focused on protecting and recovering giant pandas and the bamboo forests they depend on. Meanwhile, in Northern California, San Francisco Mayor London Breed visited China earlier in April with promises of giant panda diplomacy. She said the San Francisco Zoo will welcome pandas from China soon, but no date has been set yet. Beijing is known to use pandas as a form of soft diplomacy. The communist regime sends them to friendly nations on loan and may refuse to extend the bears' visits as punishment for going against Beijing. It costs American zoos $1 million to welcome a pair of pandas for a year. China uses the money to support its conservation research.
Mattel has launched a new doll inspired by a famous figure skater, featuring a look reminiscent of her gold medal-winning performance in Albertville, France. NTD's Christina Corona has more on the new toy.
Kristi Yamaguchi's epic 1992 Olympics gold medal moment is now being celebrated in the form of a Barbie. The doll includes her iconic shimmering black and gold embroidered dress, red lipstick, bangs, and a ponytail. The release comes in May to celebrate Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. The doll is part of its Inspiring Women series, which celebrates remarkable heroines of their era, brave women who dare to take risks, challenge norms, and inspire generations of girls to aspire to greater heights. Yamaguchi was the first Asian American woman to win an Olympic gold medal in figure skating. Yamaguchi said in a statement, "Collaborating with Mattel to create my Inspiring Women Barbie doll is a natural extension of our shared purpose, and I hope it serves as a constant reminder for young kids everywhere to follow their dreams." Today, she has translated her life's work into becoming a best-selling author and advocate for children's literacy. Barbie's new Kristi Yamaguchi doll is available for pre-order for $35. Christina Corona, NTD News.
Now shifting gears to some breaking news from the world of sports. Houston Texans wide receiver Tank Dell found himself in the midst of a frightening ordeal over the weekend. NTD's Carlos Reyes has more details.
Houston Texans wide receiver Tank Dell was shot in Sanford, Florida shortly after midnight Sunday morning, according to the Texans. Dell was a bystander during a shooting at a private event in Sanford, where authorities say a teenage gunman wounded 10 people after an altercation. A Texan spokesperson said Dell isn't seriously injured and was released from the hospital and traveled back to Houston on Sunday. The Texans organization promptly issued a statement affirming Dell's well-being and requesting privacy for him and his family during this time. They also extended their thoughts and prayers to all those affected by the distressing incident. Witnesses told law enforcement that the shooting started after a fistfight broke out. Someone who wasn't involved in the melee drew a handgun and begun firing toward a crowd of people, according to the arrest report. A security guard standing near the gunman wrestled him to the ground and disarmed him. A 16-year-old suspect was arrested and taken to a juvenile detention center. The teen was charged with attempted homicide, firing a weapon in a public place, using a firearm during a felony, and illegal possession of a firearm by a minor. As for Dell, he finished his 2023 rookie season with 709 yards and 7 touchdowns, but his year was cut short after he suffered a broken leg in an early December game against the Denver Broncos. Last month, Coach D'Amico Ryan said Dell was on track with his rehab and was participating in off-season activities, and the coach added that he was excited to have him back. Carlos Reyes, NTD News.
Imagine the fork you were eating off with could later turn into a carrot itself. That's the surreal idea behind a Dubai-based startup. Here's how it works.
This spoon can be planted and could one day blossom into an herb or vegetable. That's because it's not made from plastic, but wheat straw, and has seeds nestled inside. Its creator says the concept is a way to combat single-use plastics and promote a sustainable habit. Dubai-based Bloom Spoon is behind the plantable cutlery.
And then within 10 to 20 days, you will be having sprouts.
Mustafa Khattab is the startup's founder and managing director.
Our main consumers are the restaurants and the cafes for the delivery services and the takeaways. And instead of just giving them normal plastic cutlery that will just end up in a landfill, or maybe like a normal sustainable alternative, but we would like also to promote a sustainable habit or an eco-friendly behavior like planting. So I want them to be engaged or make it more interactive.
The cutlery is reusable for up to 5 years, Khattab says. When it comes time to plant, either the entire utensil can be tossed in soil or just the grains in the tip.
In there.
It's a concept that aligns with the ethos of Low Restaurant in Dubai, says manager Zachary Roy.
And it's not necessarily just recycling, it's about reusing everything and making sure that little things that lead to food waste, whether it be the actual food waste or the items that we use, we just better ourselves and better it along the way as we go. We've got mandarin, we've got aubergine, we've got chilies, and now I'm going to be happy to put Bloom Spoon in and get some basil, some more mint, some chilies, some chives. I think it's fantastic.
Stay tuned for China in Focus with Tiffany Meyer coming up next. Tesla owner Elon Musk made a surprise visit to China. What was his ask to China's #2 official, and did he make any progress? More details coming tonight on China in Focus with Tiffany Meyer at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. And that's all we've got for you tonight. We'd like you to join us again on NTD Tonight every weekday at 9 p.m. I'm David Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.